Hello, my name is Kyryl, and some of you may know me on Audiotool as Keps. And I've been a software developer for about 7 years now. And at the start of this year, I started working for Audiotool. So I am making this video to actually present a new application as part of Audiotool. Kind of like Probe, it's a standalone, like sister application to the studio, and it's called Mix. And what it is a browser-based DJ tool that has access to the whole of Audiotool's music library. And so I'm pretty keen to demo it to you, but also I want to give a backstory to this project because actually this was a personal project of mine that I started all the way back in lockdown. So in September 2021, I was very bored. Sydney was in the worst lockdown of the whole pandemic at the time, and I had a lot of free time. I wanted to learn something new, and I decided to take on a project. And so the idea for the project actually came from when I was a newbie on Audiotool many years ago. I remember there was an Audiotool radio podcast where staff played curated mixes, and then they had guests, and then there were other users that made mixes, and of course there were also the user created parties, and there was a lot of Audiotool music being played in a style of like a club mix or a radio mix. And I remember when I heard my track played like that for the first time, it was just such a huge motivator for me to keep learning and keep producing music. And yeah, I just want Audiotool to have more of that. And as we had the last party in LA, there was like 3 hours of just Audiotool music played on Dub Love Radio, and that was amazing. So huge potential there. And so let me show you how this project kind of progressed over the 2 years. So this is version 1 that I put together in 3 days. Very bare bones, and while you can load tracks from your computer and like change pitch and play them and blend them using that little EQ section, I actually struggled really hard to figure out Audiotool's public API. There was no documentation, and with my trial and error of trying to get track information off the website, I quickly gave up after just 3 days. Next month in October, I just thought, hey, there's still so much to learn and so much to do. I can continue and figure out the Audiotool stuff much later. So I came up with this. So at this point, it was starting to look more like a DJ application. They had 2 turntables and 1 mixer. It was actually like really fun to play with at this stage already, but it was still quite clunky and buggy, and the jog wheels didn't work. I kept working on it for a bit on and off, but then lockdown ended, life got busy, and I kind of left the project on the back burner until May 2022. Audiotool put out 5 job ads, and I actually matched the requirements for one of them. So I literally, as soon as I saw that, I dropped everything and applied as fast as I could because I was so excited. And yeah, from there we started talking. But despite me being on the website for about 12 years at that time, I kept it a secret that I was a software developer. So naturally they wanted some examples of my work. And I thought, oh, I have this DJ tool project that would be perfect to send to them. But before I could do that, I wanted to finish the jog wheel, iron out some bugs, and just polish the code. And this is what I ended up sending to them. You might be saying, oh, what have you done to it? In terms of design, I don't know. Actually, I was going more towards a realistic kind of direction, but it's not quite there yet at this point. But what I did do is I implemented the jog wheel, and it's still like the most complicated part of the whole application, just because it actually has some physics behind it. I based it on how turntables feel because I DJ with vinyl, and I just wanted that kind of feeling in this application, that kind of physical, real object kind of feeling. But yeah, I ended up sending this. I got good feedback, and we continued talking. And for a lot of time, I was coming on and off this little side project, and tweaking small things and adding things. I tried to improve the design a bit by adding color to it, but nothing major has changed until 2023, when in January I flew to Cologne to start the job, and we were obviously busy with a lot of other things. We were busy finishing the front-end framework to build the new studio from. We were doing a lot of cleanup on the website and fixing a lot of bugs and things that have built up over the years. And while we were doing that, I remember I saw Andre Michel implementing the new version of the website player, and he had this playground where he had a bunch of these players, and they were all pulling tracks from the Audiotool's public API. And I thought, wait, I have a project that needs it, and I finally have access to the people who know how to use this API. So of course I asked Andre for help to show me, and quickly got it set up in this project in my free time. And this was like a week before I had to fly back to Sydney, so I wanted to show something to the team before I left. So I would go home and like code late into the night for several days until I got this. And with 2 days to go of me being in Cologne, I presented this to the team, and everyone was very excited because actually this wasn't I wasn't the first person who had this idea. They had this idea for years, and they just didn't have the resources to realize it because they were so busy working on the studio and the website. So they were quite pleased to see that someone had put their own time and effort into creating something that they wanted to do for so long. And yeah, they were very encouraging in me finishing it. But with that also came a lot of feedback and a lot of things that still needed to be done. One of the funniest feedbacks I got is that these things, the players, look like giant iPods, which I just couldn't unsee afterwards. But overall, I was happy with the design direction and where this was heading. So I came back home. I was still working on it on and off in my free time. And eventually, after a few months, people were asking about Mix and just wondering where I was at with the project, because it had a lot of potential to be actually launched as part of Audiotool. So I thought, hey, we thought let's sit down and scope out the project, see how many more features we need before we can proudly launch version 1. And it turned out there was still so much work to do. And these are some of the discussions that we had. Well, with the API at the time, you had to type in the exact username or track ID to load it, or like an album ID to get the track list. And that was just not very user-friendly. So we needed a search, kind of like on the website, which the API didn't support at the time. So we needed someone on the back end to do that. And then it's not a very good user experience to just search for each track before you wanted to play it. We needed a space for people to be able to organize a playlist before they perform. So we created a track browser and playlist organizer. Well, actually, I created that. I was still working on this mainly by myself. And then we thought this is not very beginner friendly in the state that it is in. Beginners needed a way to beat match quickly using sync. And even though my version I showed here has sync, all it did was match the BPMs. It didn't actually sync up the tracks. So I needed to implement that. And as well as that, I needed some sort of visual representation of the tracks. I wanted to have the waveforms scrolling by as they're playing, kind of like on all standard digital gear these days. And then how are people going to interact with the music they find through Mix? Obviously, community is a very important aspect of Audiotool, and we just wanted to make sure that the engagement could be continued even outside of the website in this little application. So we thought it would be essential for people to be able to like tracks as they find them, or every time they play a track here, it's actually counted as a play on the website. Because there's nothing more encouraging than seeing that your music is being listened to or liked by others. So yeah, there's that. And also on the creation side, for people using Mix, how are they going to share their mixes and creations? Well, obviously that we're not restricting people on how they record the mix and what they do with the music they find. We thought it would be a bit of a gray area for us to put in a record functionality right there in the app, just because some people don't allow downloads of their tracks, and we want to respect that. But what we did think would be cool is for people to have a way to perform live. That's where the radio page idea was born. So we wanted to have the ability to go live, have a link that they can share, a user can share to the community, and the community can go and listen to the radio stream and actually see all the tracks that are being played and interact with it and so on. And yeah, you can see that this quickly grew in scope, very, very big. And because it was starting to get so serious, we thought, well, we want some actual DJs to like take it seriously, and we can't expect people to just use a mouse. I mean, most people will, but those that have a MIDI controller will want to use a controller. So we thought it's important for us to implement MIDI support as well. So after all that time and all that work, thanks to the backend and my other colleagues on the front end who helped me with the radio page, the broadcasting, and even some sound improvements on Mix. And yeah, I'm just super excited to finally be able to demo it to you. So let's jump into it. All right, this is the demo, and it's also the next day for me because I had to re-record. But all right, let's jump into it. So this won't be much of a tutorial. It's more of just a quick showcase, but stay tuned for a full tutorial, which is coming soon. Yeah, so right now we've got a track by Michael Boyles playing, and let's load another track. So I've got a playlist down here that I've put together, and we can just grab a track and drop it in here. And the way I've put together this set is actually, I searched the Audiotool database of music. You can search something like techno, and it will spit out all these different playlists. So you can either go to a user's profile, or you can look at someone's techno album. You can look at the latest in the genre, and I mean, I just searched techno, but you can search anything in there. You can search a user or like a specific playlist that already exists in Audiotool, and so you'll go into a playlist here, and you can just drag and drop. Well, let me just create a new playlist here. So I'm gonna name this one Demo. Let's go back in here and let's try this one. Let's try this one. You can also just grab a bunch. And well, I just realized some of the tracks I dragged are very short, so not very DJ friendly. So you can actually sort by like length. You can sort by BPM. I usually sort by BPM because I know what speed I'm playing at, so it makes it easier to find the tracks that I'm looking for. But yeah, that's basically how you will plan your set. And that's how I plan this set. So now it's ready to play, and let's just mix this track in. I'm gonna run the fader down, and oops, I missed the play button. Here we go. You notice the tracks are actually kind of getting out of sync. You can see by the bar indicators here, and that's because they're different speeds, different BPMs. You can obviously beat match it yourself manually, or if you're a beginner and you don't really know how that works, you can just hit the sync button, and that will match the BPMs and sync the tracks for you on the go. So yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can also go the vinyl way and do this, go back and forth, and then try and get them aligned. There! Oh my god, I got this perfectly in the first go. Alright, and let's just blend in. So I'm gonna bring up the second track. Nice and slow. just going to blend them by changing the EQs. So reducing the different bands on the previous track and adding a bit more on the new track. You can also do it in a more rough fashion. You can double click to reset the knob back to the middle, like this. Yeah, so we've got our first transition in. Let's do another one. Let's pick this track. And we get a little warning saying we already have a track playing, but we know it's already faded out, so just click confirm. And I'm probably going to do this one on my MIDI controller. So now I'm controlling it with my little cheap little MIDI controller that I used to program this. Well, I used to test the MIDI. And yeah, and you can see on the second track that I've just brought in, the beat doesn't really start until all the way here. And you can kind of just spin the jog wheel until you're there, or you can click on the waveform up here to just jump straight to where you want. And I think I'm close enough, and I'm just gonna search for that first beat. I think I've skipped it. It's actually not very obvious where the first beat is, but let's just say it's here. And then I can put a cue point there. When the deck is paused, hold down Q, that will set a new cue point. By default, the cue point is just the beginning of the track, but you can change it like this. So I got my new cue point, and I'm ready to play it. Alright, it's playing. Let's start bringing the volume up. Not my best transition, but the tracks go really well together anyway. There we go. That was it. I also use the crossfader, and I could go into detail about queuing and how the sounds are routed, but I'll probably save it for the tutorial. Right, so one more thing I forgot to show you is how to start your broadcast. So up here is the broadcast section, and you just click go live. And once the broadcast starts, you'll see this timer, and you can click, you can copy this link and share it with the community or with your friends. So once they have the link, if they go to the link, they'll be taken to this radio page. And wait for the connection, and here's my station. And you can actually see which track I'm playing, and you can go and like it as well. So let me turn this down, and I'll play here. And here we go. That's my radio station broadcasting from here to here. Yeah, it's a pretty simple page where people can tune in. Let's go back here. And what you're actually hearing, you're hearing the cue output, but they're hearing the master output. So you can do your queuing and mixing. I'll explain this more in the tutorial if you don't know what all this means, but if you do, just know that your listeners are hearing the master output and you're hearing the headphone output. Unless you, of course, change the output settings, which you can do also. I'm gonna stop here. So this was the demo, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can start playing with it if you want on mix.audiotool.com, or if you want a bit more of a guided tour through the whole application, stay tuned for the tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you guys.